Isaiah Jordan here. In this episode, I will be texturing our mesh. So, without further ado, let's begin. First thing I want to do is create a new empty. It's going to be an empty, and I'm going to call this world. Let's go script quick, make a new script. Let's name that world also. Click on my world object, drag in my world script in there, and let's reset the transform. You don't need to do that, but I will just do it to keep it clean. Okay, I'm in my world script quick. Let's just delete everything out of it. I'm going to make a public variable. It's going to be called material. It's going to be a material, and let's call it material. There we go. Maybe another. Actually, no. I'm going to make a public class. It's going to have a system dot serializable, and I'm going to go public. Okay. Class, and I'm going to call this class block type. Okay, open and close curly brackets. Inside here, I'm going to have two variables for now. Public, string. I have a public string for name, and then another public bool called isSolid. Okay. The last thing we need to do for here is go public. Let's go to my block type. Let's make that an array, and let's call it block types. Let's go back to Unity quick. Okay. Let's go to my world. We have our block types array now. So let's just attach our material quick. First, let's make a material. As you see, I have my own texture. It's a texture 2D type of default. It's going to have wrap mode of clamp and filter points, no filter. Okay, let's make a new material now. Okay, this is going to be called blocks. Okay, change standard to unlit for now. We'll change it later, but unlit is just for now until I have an actual lighting. Then let's go to my world quick. Okay, then let's go material, lock it the world, dragging our blocks texture on it. Dragging our blocks texture in the material. And in our block, let's just unlock it and lock it again, and go replace our arrow with blocks. And there we go. Now let's open our chunk script. And remember the public bool is solid we made in our world script. I'm going to replace our bool we have here. Now the bool is perfect, however we need more information. So I'm going to convert this to a byte. By the way, and this will work fine until you have more than 255 different blocks. But now, currently, we only have like 12 or something. Then let's quickly go. Let's reference our world script we just made. Okay. Then what we have to do is in a start, we must set the world to something. So it's world is equal to game object, okay, dot find. They are like find object with tag and stuff like that, but I'm just going to find by name. So just find. By the way, in Unity, let's go Unity quick. It'll give me an error, but ignore that error. As you see, our world we attach a world script to. Copy that. So if you named this anything, as long as you just copy the name of your script name. Know your script's name, in my case is world, and the game object the script is attached to, which is also world. So if we go back to Visual Studio, I can just type in my world, or paste in this case, and get component. This is going to be the component we need to get, like for transform, it'd be something like transform, or let's say we want to get box collider on the object, anything you like on the object, as long as it's actually on the object. In this case, we need to get the world script, just world, and we just referenced it here. We'll have to edit this later on, but for now, it's fine. Now, as you see here in the last episode, we optimized our chunk. We went voxel map x, y, and z is equal to tree. We can't do that now, so let's make it equal to 0 since it's a byte now, not a bool. Okay. Let's quickly scroll down to our check voxel, and it is our, let's just delete all this. Actually, no, in our voxel map, we need to go worlds, the variable we just made, dot block type. Okay, block types, and because block types is an array now, then we need to get the array value, which is in the array. So we need to get the array position in the array, the index of the array. Sorry, dot is solid. Okay, they'll basically check whether it's solid or not. And let's just quickly test it. I'm in Unity. As you see, let's just delete that. Block types is usually empty, but if we press play now, we again index is outside the bounds of array. The reason why is because we actually need block types. Because we set the index to 0, which is later on we'll change that to different levels of, like, let's say we had 4 different block types. Number 1 was dirt, number 2 was whatever we want really. Then, and that's how we do layers, by the way. Let's just open our block types, type in our name, let's name default for now, and make sure to tick is solid. If you don't, you'll have some problems. Anyway, if we tick is solid and go scene, ignore all these little block textures. That's just Unity trying to map it out properly. If we zoom in, nothing should really happen, as is the last episode. However, it should have the same effects as it did in the last episode, just with a different texture, of course. So let's just exit. This is the second section of this video, the first texturing video. So let's begin. So in this part section, we are mainly going to be focusing on UV unwrapping and just making it easier for the next part of the texturing and next video for us to actually choose the textures on multi-sided blocks. So not multi-sided blocks, but blocks like grass blocks where they have different textures on the different sides of the blocks. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay. So first, let's just quickly go to project. I'm going to open my Voxel data script. Okay, I have it open now. So first in our Voxel data script, let's just make this a little bigger, like chunk height, let's say make 15. And now let's make a public, okay, static, read only. This is going to be an integer. It's going to be called texture atlas size in blocks. Okay, need to make it equal to 4. So what's very nice, I'll actually explain that a little later. Wait, let me just finish this. So I'm going to have a public static float method. It's going to be called normalize texture block size. Okay, open close curly brackets. In here I'm going to do get. Okay, return 1f, which is 1 float, divided by floats and our texture atlas size in blocks. Okay, so the reason why I made, by the way, texture atlas size in blocks is equal to 4 is because our texture is 4 by 4. That's how big our texture is. Or actually 4 times 16. So it's actually 64 by 64 pixels. But in the texture, there are 4 blocks on the y-axis and 4 blocks on the z-axis. So the width is 4 blocks and the height is 4 blocks. Okay, so now I'm going to quickly go to my chunk script. Okay, in my chunk script, just scroll down quick. Okay, I'm going to make a new method. I'm just going to delete all our UVs we set there. Okay, go tab a bit, and I'm going to make it called add texture. Okay, let's just call it quick. Now let's go down here. Let's go void, add texture. Okay, and in our curved brackets, I'm going to go int texture ID, and that's going to be the name of our int in here. I'll set it in a sec, wait. So first we need a float. Let's name that first float y. By the way, you can really name it what you want. It doesn't really matter, but I'll just keep it y. Just for a namesake. Okay, is equal to our texture ID, the one we just made, divided by voxel data dot texture atlas size and blocks, the one we just made, and there we go. Let's make another float. This time's going to be x. It's going to be done a little differently. Texture ID, okay, this time minus, and it's going to be minus by, open and close brackets, y times by voxel data dot texture atlas size and blocks. Okay, semicolon. Now let's go quickly. X times equals by our voxel data dot normalize block texture size. Okay, I'll tell you what this does in a sec. Let's just copy it over for y. Okay, y. And there we go. Basically what this will do is, if you look at my texture now, what will happen is basically this converts our texture between 0.0 f and 1.0 f. And it's basically all the coordinates in float value. So like the middle would be 0.25 and so on and so forth, stuff like that. However, we don't really want that, so I'm going to change that quick. What I'm going to do is actually before I do that, let's just quickly go y is equal to 1f. By the way, you don't need to do this. I'm going to tell you after I've done it. Minus by y, okay, minus by voxel data dot normalize block texture size, and there we go. So what this does is, if I quickly show you my texture, I'll just drag it over here quick. As you see here, we have our texture. So our texture, this area is 0.0f. But that doesn't really make sense. So I want to do it like reading left to right, and then left to right again, and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip it. So y is our y-axis. This is a y-axis, by the way, up and down, is equal to 1f minus by y minus by voxel data dot normalize block texture size. And what that will do is it will just flip it, basically. Okay, so now we've done all that, what I want to do is I want to actually make the unwrap the UVs, because now if we tested it, the UVs would be broken again. So what we need to do is just let's cut in half the screen quick. There we go. If we look at our voxel UVs, as you see, we have 0.0f. So what that will be is it will be, just quickly add a bit more space here. What they'll be is it will be UVs dot add, okay, sorry, add, in raise brackets, new, vector 2, because it only has 2 values, and then in here, with more brackets, x comma y. So that's basically essentially 0.0f. Okay, then we're going to have a semicolon there. Let's duplicate this 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now what I'm going to do is essentially what this would do is if we, in this kind of value, what we're doing is we basically kind of adding by 1. So there would be add voxel normalize size. Okay, then what we need to do, okay, then we have a value, higher value here, so there would be plussing again, and then finally we have it plussing both on both sides. Okay, and there. Okay, so I just forgot to do this one thing. Let's just get rid of the cut in half. Let's go chunk script, sorry. Okay, let's just scroll up quick. And remember our add texture? Well, we need to set this our texture ID. So let's just make that 0 for now. Oh, and I just got an error. I'll actually just show you quick. If we press play now, we press play, for some reason this weird effect happens and we zoom in, all our blocks are filled inside the chunk, and I figured out what happened. We just go to our chunk script quick, what will happen? And scroll down. It's this. All these values are chunk height, and up here we just said the chunk width. Let's just make them chunk height again. Let's go back to Unity. Now what should happen is when we press play, there we go. And zoom in, and it's not filled. As you see now, we have our stone texture. If we just, let's say, go back to our code, we don't have to make it stone texture. We can make it whatever the value 1 is. Okay, press play. It seems to be... Oh yes, of course, it'll give me an index outer range. Because we haven't actually got one. So we can just make this array a little longer. And it'll give us the value... Okay, it'll still give us stone because of... we just pause this very quick. Go down here. Okay, and let's just find it. And we must find our... Yes, here it is. We must change our add texture to 1. Now if we go to Unity, it should give us a different texture. And there we go, we have our pink dirt, our alien dirt texture now. And you can basically choose what you want. In next episode, we'll mostly be doing more editable UV unwrapping, so we won't have to swap to code again to have different textures and stuff like that. But this is the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye!